Okay. All right. Oh, that social alert isn't right. Sorry about that. Okay. D- um. Well, welcome to Christ Center Gamers game stream of Tetris Forever. Now, this is thank you Digital Eclipse for sending this us to review. So this is I've only launched this once before just to make sure it works. I don't have a lot of experience with this collection, but I do have a lot of experience with the Atari 50th anniversary collection or celebration by Digital Eclipse as well. I'm expecting this one is to be like that, where it's talks about the history of Tetris and all that. I'm going to guess that the NES Tetris and the Game Boy Tetris that are probably the most iconic versions are not going to be on here because this is not a Nintendo. I'm playing this on Steam. That's just a guess, but I think it's a reasonable one. So we'll have to see what kind of versions of Tetris are included. Yeah, so I love Tetris. I played many hours on my Game Boy, original Game Boy brick. I played a fair amount of other versions. I own I own a fair number of games in the Tetris series, but not all of them. There's a lot. For me, Game Boy Tetris was all I really needed. I think I ended up playing NES Tetris at my friend's house growing up for multiplayer. I did play multiplayer Game Boy Tetris quite a bit growing up. Pretty good at it. I was able to, get past level 9, which is pretty good for a casual player. I think 11 or 12 was the highest I ever got. I played a fair amount of Tetris DS, which is the last Nintendo published Tetris, which of course is also not on here. Most likely. I'm just going to take a guess, but I think it's a pretty educated one. So, yeah, I'd be really surprised if it was here. So, okay, let's take a look and see what Tetris DS has, or Tetris Forever has for us. Play Tetris. Welcome to Tetris Forever. Begin your journey through 40 years of Tetris history in the timelines below. Or jump right into a game by pressing X. Okay. The perfect game. A researcher at the Academy of Sciences in Moscow comes up with a new game idea. One he can't stop playing. Excuse the coughing. Sorry, guys. The origin of Tetris. So over 40 years, the game known as Tetris has enticed us, confounded us, and occupied our brains long after we put down the controller. It's hard to imagine a world without Tetris, but how do we get here? Okay. Introduction, the perfect game. First created in the Soviet Union in 1984. It was pretty wild. I grew up in that era, and hearing about a game come from Russia, or the Soviet Union, was pretty crazy back in the day. I mean, I was 6 years old when Tetris was created. I didn't play it at 6, but yeah, it was a thing. Tetris has been to all corners of the world, but this globally spanning journey would not be an easy one. Let's check this out.
Hi everybody, I'm Alexei Pazhitner. 10 years ago, I invented a game called Tetris.
Great is not the word for Tetris. The right word for Tetris is perfect.
Hey, Prafi, thanks for joining.
I'm at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. I stand in line, and there I play Tetris for the first time.
It's really the perfect game. Once you've played Tetris, like it's part of your DNA.
Then I go and play other games, and I find myself standing in line at the Tetris machine again, and then play again.
Perfectly implemented, perfectly balanced.
It's
The
good that they at
fourth
least...
time I'm standing in this line. It's like, I'm really hooked on this game. I said,
Hey,
I'm going to go
Prafi,
to the
PvP,
Soviet
thanks for
Union,
joining.
And I'm not coming back till I have these rights. Tetris is for everybody, all genders, all ages.
The game transcends cultures, it transcends language, and there's a whole Tetris effect that happens. You start seeing Tetris pieces everywhere when you're packing a car or when you want to organize something.
Tetris, it's harmonically, everything comes together.
The thing that makes Tetris Tetris is the well and the pieces.
There's nothing associated with Tetris except geometry, which is universal.
It's no character, you don't have attitude to the pieces. They are all good. It allows you to concentrate on your activity.
It only is a game.
It's not a destructive game, it's a constructive game. You're basically building lines of blocks.
It's illusion, because what you generally do, you don't construct anything. As a matter of fact, you keep destroying the stuff you build.
I love documentation.
All you see is the garbage, your failures and mistakes.
You want to keep clearing lines.
You play and play and play to get rid of it, to get it lowered.
Yeah, I played so much Game Boy Tetris.
It really kind of speaks to the human need to want to create.
Fair amount of NES as well, but not as much.
Alexei figured it out, and that's why we're around 40 years later.
All my life is connected to Tetris. Every time when I design the game, I never satisfied, because I clearly see that this game won't be at the same level of Tetris.
The friendship that formed between Hank Rogers and Alexei Pajitnov really, ultimately, brought Tetris to the rest of the world. They're still best friends today.
I think our friendship goes deeper than Tetris.
They're both programmers, and they both have the love of games.
Basically, I just live with it for my whole life, and time to time, strange stuff happened.
Play Tetris, my friends.
Okay.
Okay. Polyominoes. Our story truly begins decades before Tetris game was created. In 1953, the mathematics professor Kalman Gullum invented the term polyominoes to describe two-dimensional shapes created by connecting equally sized squares. He called the shapes made of 3 squares trominos, 4 squares tetrominoes, and 5 squares pentominoes. Pentomino puzzles. Oh, okay, I see. Pentomino puzzles enjoyed a surge of popularity in the 1960s after the spread of Solomon Gullum's research. Interesting. An ancient connection with the passage of time, we've learned the true activity of pentominoes. Interesting. Okay, so chicken sandwiches are fine. So let's see. More about Alexei. Born in Moscow, the capital city of the Soviet Union, in 1955. His father was a writer, his mother was a journalist. Upbringing Alexei to the Moscow Film Festival, where he was introduced to movies from around the world. Alright, let's check this out.
I was a regular schoolboy, and my mother was journalist in a cinema magazine. And when I got it, it was very fascinating. I fall in love with cinema that time. And my father was rather writer. He published several books on different writers and philosophers. So they was humanitarian, and I'm kind of more technical person. Father feed me with lots of logical puzzles. He tried to teach me with the chess, but completely failed, because he was a very good chess player, and I never can beat him, so I'm very defensive in chess, so this is not good. There was some puzzles all the time around in the house, so that's what managed me to more mathematics in my career.
Nice.
In 8th grade, I entered to the special program for mathematics. Then I get to the high school, to Moscow Institute of Aviation, how it called, and I graduated as a programmer, mathematician, researcher.
Interesting. And another video, playing with math. High-level math prodigy. Various competitions. Fascinating.
There is a professor in United States. His name is Coulomb, and he wrote the entire book about polyomino. How many different shapes you could build out of several squares, put them together. I love this book. It was translated, and one of my favorite books on my mathematical bookshelf. So 1 square produced just 1 piece, that's it. 2 square produced just 1 piece, which traditionally called domino. That's where mino came from. 3 mino is just 2 pieces, the straight line and the ankle. Tetramino, we know it very well. But with the pentamino, it starts to be interesting because there are exactly 12 different shapes you could make together with the 5 squares. So this pentamino set, I purchased it, I believe I was 14 or 15, and it was very simple stuff, but it was lots of enjoyment there. It is very creative stuff. So basically it's all 12 shape which you could make out of 5 squares, W or C or X. This one called F somehow. It's not F, but look like F. Basically, you could play with it. You want to build something.
Fascinating.
It's much more rich than jigsaw puzzle because jigsaw puzzle you could put together just only one way, and this stuff are much more, give you much more diversity. Something like that. The activity very much remind you how you play Tetris, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I did some kind of tower or whatever. But then the moment starts that you get tired and try to put it back in the box. And that's where the puzzle starts. You feel that
Makes sense.
you're doing great and great, doing some progress, and all of a sudden you discover that you are very far from from the stuff to put it together. So we already don't have the piece for this item. Maybe here, that piece doesn't fit there as well. And then you start to kind of do some kind of panic movement, take away this stuff and put them together, and it didn't fit, and so on. 6 by 10 rectangle could be filled up. I calculated on my computer 14 million and some 300,000 something configuration. I don't remember exact number. And you could spend good half an hour before you finally got lucky and find the proper piece. I had several of them lying everywhere in my house. So once and twice a year I found this box and enjoy it and then put it back, and that's it. So, wow, I forget how to do this. So wasn't something really special and whatever for me. Got it.
Cute. That's cute. The Computer Center, after receiving his master's degree in applied mathematics from Moscow and Aviation Institute, he contemplated teaching math for a living. Artificial intelligence research in the 1980s, huh? Wow.
I was interested in computer and computer science. I did my diploma work and my kind of course for credit works in Computer Center of Academy of Science. And I love the people, and after I graduated, then I start working there. They placed me on some project about the speech recognition. I found myself that I'm working mostly on the tool, to make a tool to get some kind of strange business system, which is also the tool, you know? It's hard to explain you now, but we don't have too much fun stuff going out of computer. It was mostly boring kind of lines of code and maybe some kind of very, very, very primitive images which are composed out of letters and symbols.
That makes sense.
That's all we have that time. And I ask myself, and how do I get the pleasure directly from the screen of computer? As soon as I was done with my planned work on speech recognition, for myself I start put together some small riddles and games and whatever. So.
Cute. Electronica 60. Sitting at Alexei's desk at his workplace was an Electronica 60 computer. Purchased by order of the Soviet Ministry of Electronic Industry, it was a clone of the PDP-11. Wow, that's old. It was originally introduced in 1970. It meant it was not a very powerful machine for 1984. It couldn't even display graphics, just text. Alexei's computer. While actual Electronica 60 machines are exceedingly rare today, a later model from the Electronica line sits in the lobby of Tetris Inc. in Honolulu, Hawaii. In this video, Alexei introduced us to the machine.
So what you see here is you could have impression of the Electronica 60, which I originally created Tetris. Very old and unreliable. So I think it's just for guests to watch it and admire. This is not authentical computer. It's a little bit later computer. It's a version of so-called Electronica 125. It looked very similarly to this one. It has this keyboard and kind of Russian placement of the keys. This is monitor. It just TV set. Which produces kind of lines and ASCII symbol, and that's it. Usually I played with the numeric keyboard. 7, 8, 9 is 7, 9 for left and right, and 8 for rotation. I didn't have a hard drop was the space bar. Left, rotate, left, drop. Right, rotate, rotate, okay. And then escape when I lost.
Cute. Nope. Don't want to do that. Playing with computers in their spare time, Alexei and his co-workers enjoyed programming games on their work computers. They had dreams of being able to sell the games somehow, though it would have been extremely unlikely under the USSR's communist economic system. Okay. 5 becomes 4. Alexei thought back to the pentominoes game he had found as a teenager. Could virtual pentominoes make for a compelling video game? He started thinking about a game which players could arrange pentominoes, but soon realized that 5 block shapes are too complex, so he decided to use 4 block polynomials. The tetrominoes. Cool. A game emerges. Rather than having the player fit shapes into a small box like a pentominoes puzzle, they hit the idea of having pieces fall down into a well. Yeah, that it is. You can't say. Excuse me. Originally, the game would be over once the well filled up, but this would happen very quickly. When the player put blocks all the way across the well, it would block off the bottom and render that area unusable. Results from Alexei made so the game would clear any completed line, giving the player more room to play. This turned out to be the last piece of the puzzle, and an addicting game was born. Tetris. Tennis, huh? Tetris was tennis? Cute. Electronica 60. This recreation of Alexei's original version of Tetris shows how the very first version of the game was played. The game kept track of how quickly you dropped box and how many lines you cleared. The concept of clearing 4 lines at once to create a high-scoring Tetris clear line would not be introduced until 1988. Okay, let's check this out. Let's check out what is a recreation of the original version of Tetris. Monochrome green or monochrome white? We gotta go green. Oh, I see. Oh, wow. Okay. There's 4 versions here. Well, we'll try this one. Oh, this is in Russian. Huh. Oh, that's pretty simple. I like it. Look at me go. Come on, I need a long pace. There we go. Got a Tetris Electronica 60, huh? That's my award. Oh, that's not good. I just made my life miserable. Yeah, I kind of have to give up here, I'm afraid. I'm pretty decent at Tetris, as you can hopefully tell. But not perfect. Nobody is. Seriously? Oh, I should have done it the other way. Oh, you can't go down gradually. That's right. That's a later game feature. All right, I'm gonna lose soon. Ah, that was a mistake. I just killed that one. Dead. Dead. I'm gonna lose soon. Brutal. The game is fundamentally has not changed much over the decades. That's for sure. It is fundamentally the same game. Wrong direction. Finally. Well, let me scoot it over one at the end. Yes. Oh, I'm playing way too much of this. But yeah, I can see why even the original was quite addicting for people. What if it'll let me flip here? No. Okay, if I keep doing this, I'm never gonna do anything else. The stream will be really boring without any music. Oh, I messed that up. Starting to get faster. I'm not doing very well anymore, and I didn't really expect to. But you can see that I have decent Tetris skills, certainly enough experience to messed it up. To know, I'm good enough to know when I mess up. Let's put it that way. I'm just messing it up on purpose at this point. Oh. Can I type my... There we go. Set a high score. Cool. All right, cool. Well, I'm done now. That was neat. How do I get out of this? No, I don't want to play again. Oh, it's how you get a translation. No. All right. Back. Oh, you can change the language? Oh! That's cool, though. Alright, well that's neat. That's the original, huh? Inside the first Tetris, really how the versions came together.
I still play with my box of pentamines, and I'm wondering why nobody just play against each other with this stuff. And I thought that it would be very interesting to try to research it on the computer. I just started programming it. At that time we didn't have any graphics on the computer, so I realized that I could use the square bracket for the squares, and it looked pretty very much. Then I start doubting, so 12 shapes is very good for when you have all of them in front of you on the table. But if they coming all the time, it's too much to remember. And 7 is a magical number. We know that 7 is the size of operative memory. People could remember lots of phone numbers. I decided that I should downsize it. So tetramine is obvious instead of pentamines, and I were very very glad and very excited when I make this decision. And I feel that it's natural the piece to fall down because it's a gravity on this planet. I immediately start to put together some play field. I didn't feel that I need the entire screen. Too much movement. This play field was filled up practically in 1 minute, so I need to somehow deal with it. I realized that the full lines, all full lines, are kind of dead on the screen. Why don't I just take them away? And that was the last and very serious aha for Tetris game. The game immediately start to be really bright. I can't stop playing.
That's funny.
I really appreciate the hard drops I did in the game. The only one drop I could do is a hard drop because my keyboard, it doesn't distinguish push and release moments. With all my wish, I can't do any soft drop at this time, but hard drop was very important, and that determined the rhythm of the game. Level of playing this game, as far as I remember.
What's the highest level on this? Is it 9?
9, but 9 is very kind of flashy. You have your eyes tired pretty soon. So.
Now, is level 9, is the reason you went up to 9 because you only wanted to use 1 digit space?
Yes. Finally, my colleague found out that I doing something strange on the computer for a week or so. And I say, okay, guys, okay, I will finish my programming and I will show you the stuff. And then I put a small title screen, record table, and put together and released the game. And it was like a wood fire.
Nice.
In 2 months, every Electronica 60 had this game on it. People say that my game is like a drinking vodka. The word glass was very kind of associated with the drinking, and we need it for vodka, of course. And the people put the title Stakan. Stakan, which you used to drink vodka. But I insisted on Tetris all the time. And Tetris is very nice sound in Russian, at least. Tetramine is obvious object which we're dealing with in the game. So I decided it should be something kind of related to Tetris. That was a very popular game which lots of people enjoy on IBM PC called Xonix. Xonix, I like this X termination, but Tetris was too much copying from Xonix, so I put is. I think Tetris will be little bit lighter and remind me of tennis, my favorite sport. And this is a good name.
Cute. Now what? Alexei's colleagues at the Academy of Science love playing this game, but How can you let the rest of the world know about his creation? It would have been illegal for him to sell it. Let's put this question aside for the time being. First, he wanted to get the game off the Creaky Electronics 60 and onto IBM-compatible PCs, which are soon becoming the global standard for home computers. That is a fact. Teenage hacker. Huh. Interesting.
At some moment, people who work on IBM PC approached me and started pushing me to port it to PC. I didn't like very much PC that time. The colors were too funky, too bright, and kind of very unserious kind of stuff. I understand that this is enjoyment stuff for kids, but my mathematical kind of spirit, it's not something I really want to work on a lot, you know. And I had a perfect excuse. At that time, it was no common device between IBM PC and Electronica 60. Floppy disks had totally different format, so that was my excuse. I say, I don't want to type it again, forget it. One day, one of my friends from this PC department brought me the young schoolboy. He was 15 or whatever. He get the school practice in computer center for programming. Absolutely genius guy. His name was Vadim Gerasimov. He used to work for Google last time I've heard about it. I don't know where he is now. But this young wunderkind kind of was presented to me, and I say, well, basically I have this floppy disk with Tetris program in it in Pascal language. So if you could transfer it somehow, then we could do something with it on PC. He knew MS-DOS, the PC operating system of the time, very well. So he could do absolutely magical stuff there. He understood the file system, which is totally different. He make a physical reading of the disk. And in 4 or 5 days, less than a week, he invited me and showed me my Tetris game exactly with those square bracket and stuff working on PC. I was really surprised and amazed with this.
I bet.
For me, it might take maybe months or something of work, of studying, of trying and whatever. He did everything in record time. It was absolute miracle for me. If we find a small rectangle of ASCII table of the certain color, and we decide to make this normal 16 color text mode. And because it's PC, it's much more international, so it's immediately spread, and we start to get the evaluation from abroad as well. So everybody likes the game, and we feel good.
Interesting. So this is the 1985 MS-DOS version of Tetris, huh? Okay, let's check it out. Still no sound, huh? Okay, this is much faster because I chose level 5. Which is good because that means I'll die faster. Oh boy. Oh boy, that's not good. This is not going well. There we go. Finally got a long piece. Oh, it makes a sound. Oh, for goodness sakes. Okay, I'm gonna just die now because I'm gonna lose shortly. It's fine though. I don't really. I mean, I already played plenty of the original one. Oh. Okay. I'm done for, folks. I'm just gonna die on purpose. All right, well, let's get beeps. That's cute. There's no uppercase, huh? Okay. No. Excuse me. All right, how do I quit? Cool. All right. Finding only acquired file. The move to assess my Tetris can now be easily spread from computer to computer, and it did. Tetris no longer soon. Soon, wherever you found a PC in Moscow, there's a good chance Tetris will have was somewhere nearby. A Hungarian connection. Huh. Another Hungarian invention. Hungary was also at the time a communist country that had adopted a more progressive stance towards international trade. Oh, Rubik's Cube was invented in Hungary. Oh, neat. Neat. Robert Stein, born in Hungary, living in London, England. Robert Stein was a computer entrepreneur who ran a company called Andromeda Software. Okay. Download latest computer games by creating. You can create in Hungary to publish around the world. Okay. Robert Stein, huh? This company had a lab where they were developing all sorts of things, and they wanted to show me scientific, sophisticated products. What is this? Jumping up and down on jumping a piece of screen? Oh, it's just a game. Let's make a deal.
Our secretary of the director of the human resource person came to me and say, we got the telex from you from England. Come, take it and respond it. And that was a Robert Stein proposal to license Tetris. He saw this this game in Ski. Ski is a Hungary Institute of Computer Science, probably. And he likes it, and he wants to license it, and he proposed about, I don't remember, either 15, either 10,000 pounds or dollars. I don't remember clearly either. But that amount I appreciated in kind of 3-4 computers, PC. IBM PC that time. The situation was very clear at this time. Not my computer center, even Academy of Science has no right to have any business deal with somebody outside of USSR. It was like from kindergarten, every Soviet person knows that for sure. I had no doubt and very serious and very simply answered him in the proper words that I am very glad to receive this telex. I like what you propose. I will find somebody who is authorized to make a deal with you. Later on, it shows that he considered my very polite reply on this as a authorization for him to get the license. That was absolutely shock for me later on. But that time I went with this telex to my deputy director, who was more authorized in the stuff. He said, okay, go ahead and find out if we could sell it and get couple computers in the computer center. That would be great. And then I start kind of my odyssey over those different agencies in Moscow.
Well, the Academy meant to convey the message that they wanted to sit down and attempt to hammer out a contract. Stein took from the message as the deal was done, and the contract was just a formality. The Academy began to sub-license Tetris to publishers around the world, even though he didn't have the rights yet. Oh boy. Tomorrow the World. Alexei Pajanov's creation and Alexei himself were about to fully break through the Iron Curtain and emerge onto the world stage, but Tetris' story doesn't end there. In fact, it's just getting started. The game developer was about to discover Alexei's game. Okay. Brilliant games had been discovered and races on video game publishers around the world to compete for the rights to publish Russian Marvel in their home countries. Hank Rogers. Born in 1953, Dutch-born Hank Rogers moved with his family from Amsterdam to New York City when he was 11. Attending Stuyvesant High School at the University of Hawaii, where he and his friends formed the Alternative Realities Recreation Group of Hawaii, ARG, to organize sessions of that new tabletop game called Dungeons & Dragons. Okay.
I was born in the Netherlands. I lived in Holland for 11 years and moved to New York City. Learned English, went to Our Lady of Sorrows, graduated number 1 in my school, and ended up going to the best math and science high school in New York called Stuyvesant High School. That's where I got to touch computers for the first time. These were the days of punch cards, and I would put in my punch card program today, and I would get the result, which is the printout, 2 days later. That was the turnaround time. That wasn't good enough for me, so I cheated, and I made 6 copies of my program and put one in each drawer of each class. So I had a turnaround time of 4 hours, and my teacher couldn't understand how I was so fast.
Funny.
End of high school, I'm 18. I moved to Hawaii. Boy, I spent a year surfing and diving. You know, if there were waves, I'd be surfing. If there was no waves, I'd be diving. I was in the water every day. I was a fish. And one day I read in the newspapers, oh my goodness, I can go to night school and have access to computers. My dream. I loved computers. You know, I could ICS 301, you know, learn how to program in BASIC. So I said, Dad, I have access. And about a week into it, my teacher called me in and said, Mr. Rogers, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? What are you doing? And he says, well, you've already used as much computer time as an average student uses in a semester. And I showed him the programs I was working on, and he says, okay, carry on. You know, every assignment that we got, I went extra credit. I was so good that he hired me as a TA, and I graded all the papers for the next ICS 301 class. So I actually got a job, which was very useful. People ask me, what did you study? You know, what was your major? And I always say, I majored in computer science and I minored in Dungeons and Dragons. We had a organization at Campus Center called ARG, the Alternative Recreational Realities Group of Hawaii. You know, the first D&D books, they were like little tiny books, and they didn't really have enough information to actually play the game. You had to make up stuff. So we had all these additional rules, and we called them ARG rules. And so that fleshed out for the dungeon masters and for the players how to play D&D. After, I don't know, I guess it was half a year, I ran out of computer classes that I could take in night school. And my teacher said, well, you know, if you want more computer time, you're going to have to go to day school. And so I said to my teacher, well, I'm not going to take any of my core requirements. And he says, I'm not saying that you have to take your core requirements. All I'm saying is that if you want more computer time, you're going to have to go to day school. I said, okay, I'll go. So I went to day school. I took all the computer classes I could take, and I took only the classes that I was interested in, which is pretty much all the science classes. I even took religion and the meaning of existence, you know, some history, stuff that I was interested in. At the end of 3 years, they called me in and they said, another Mr. Rogers store. Mr. Rogers, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, you haven't taken any of your core requirements. And I said, well, I've already been to high school. And then they said, well, if you're not going to take your core requirements, you're not going to graduate. I said, there must be some mistake. I'm not here to graduate. I'm here to get an education. And I've already got my education. Thank you very much. And I chased the girl to Japan, and that was it.
You don't understand what this is. This is a documentary, interactive documentary video game that catalogs the history of Tetris. That's what this is. Oh, hey, Tank. Yeah, this is an interactive documentary. The gem business in Bangkok, Thailand. Huh. Interesting. Okay, the beginning of Japanese RPGs. No kid. This guy behind Tetris is involved. Was involved in RPGs? Games for computers. They want to get on C to be in the exciting business to begin developing a role-playing game. The existing use was not popular in Japan. Oh, fascinating.
I went to Japan, and there was no way for me to access computers. And so I ended up working for my father in the gemstone business for 6 years. And then personal computers came out. And I go, oh my gosh, this is my chance. Got my whole hands on a computer. I went to Akihabara, which is the electronics center in Tokyo. What are people buying? You know, they have to do with computer. Because I was ready to do an accounting software, for Christ's sakes. And I found out, wow, people are buying games. Games? And they were mostly like little tiny shooting games and jumping platform games. There were some simulation war games, you know, a little bit more complicated. But there were no role-playing games. And I thought, oh, yeah, I can do this. And, you know, at that time, in the U.S., we already had Ultima and Wizardry. What I didn't know was that in Japan, there was no Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, my gosh. I have to teach people how to, you know, play this game.
Cute. Notable quote, I made a conscious decision to develop a game type that exists in the US but not Japan. There were no RPGs. Computer or paper, to speak of in the country at the time, so I decided to take a chance to do one. I speak or read Japanese background as a total reverse engineer titles I'd enjoyed back home. Funny. The Black Onyx. Hank established Bulletproof Software, aka BPS, in Japan on August 10th, 1983. He developed the Black Onyx, the first role-playing game created in Japan. Really? In the late 1983, sales were slow at first, but Hank personally demonstrated the game to the editors of various computer magazines. The Black Onyx ended up selling over 150,000 copies. Huh.
I decided I'm going to make a game. I was going to have warriors and clerics and magic users, and I was going to have all these different character classes. You know, and my imagination, this game was going to be this big. What did I know about what a computer can do? I didn't. And I didn't know how to read, speak, or write Japanese. My wife could read, but she didn't understand anything about what was written in the manual, so that was kind of useless. And all the manuals were in Japanese, so I had to hack the computer the whole time. I had 64K. So I made a role-playing game within 64K. All graphics, no text, or a little bit of text.
Oh, wow. That was really advanced for 1984.
Basic, and then the 3D part, when I wrote the 3D in BASIC, it was like the walls were like, that's speed, and then you would take a step, bunk, and then it would like, I said, no, there's no way this game can take that long. And so I decided to take that part of the game and write it in assembler. When I was done with that, you push the button, it happened immediately. There was no, like, you couldn't tell that it was drawing anything. It's like, that was the first time I really understood how fast assembler was.
Wow.
Or conversely, how slow BASIC was. There's a sample monster here. This is the demon. 10K for all monster graphics, and 10K for all people graphics. I think they were about equal in weight. I based the graphics on, on miniatures. Because when we played Dungeons and Dragons, we played them with miniatures, and so you had little people, and every time you went and you bought a new piece of armor, you would see it. And so you graphically could see your group up to 5 warriors getting better and better and better. And I made a dot matrix graphic editor so that I could draw each monster dot by dot.
Very advanced for the time.
He's already bought armor. He's already bought a shield. He's already bought a sword. I mean, he's already an advanced level character. The only thing that wasn't graphic was potions. Potion, you could see whether you had a little bottle as a potion, but you couldn't tell how many potions you had in your bottle. It's up to 5 potions. I wanted a package that was a little bit more expensive than the other packages. All the other packages were paper. Part of the reason is my game was 7,800 yen when all the other games were 6,800 yen. And the reason for that is because I believed that my game had longer gameplay.
The painting in my office was painted by Roger Dean, known for doing things like the Yes Band logo.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And this painting that's hanging in my office was the cover of an RPG game that Hank created called the Black Onyx.
Oh, wow.
And this was the Famicom version of the game. The painting is called Freya's Castle. And Freya actually is Roger's daughter.
That game, it took me 9 months to build. And I would say that's my lifetime greatest achievement. When you think about it, like today, if somebody gave you 64K and say make a role-playing game, that would be tough. Right. I used to be in the gem business, so I knew all about how to. I told my dad I need 1,000 black onyx. The first 100 people that found the onyx and send me the secret password, which was Yggdrasil, which is the tree of life, I would send them a real black onyx. Black Onyx turned out to be the #1 game in Japan in 1984.
Wow.
I published it myself. My company was Bulletproof Software. And I was all of a sudden a folk hero in the computer game world in Japan.
Wow. That is so awesome. Becoming a publisher after the success of Black Onyx, Hank took the step back from the game design to concentrate on expanding the growing Bulletproof Software and looking for games around the world to publish in Japan.
I wrote the first 2 games for the company, or for my company. Came to the conclusion that I couldn't do this for the rest of my life. Basically, writing a computer game is a full-time job. In fact, it's more than a full-time job. I was running the company, and I was making computer games. And you can't do both. I had to choose. And so I started traveling around the world, looking for games to bring to Japan. Here we are at Earl's Court. This is the 1988 Personal Computer Show.
Hank, is that so far?
This is Shanghai on the Sega machine. It's pretty good.
Thank you. Hey, Rob. Yes, here we have Hank Rogers from BPS. Yes, he's over here breaking in and expanding the UK software market. He's expanding in many different ways, taking over the world.
I hired programmers to actually take those games and move them to the Japanese computers. I'd published 2 of the first 4 Electronic Arts games, Archon and Mule.
Fascinating.
Amazing games, by the way. I published the Star Wars games. I made LucasArts. I made deals with companies all over the world. I was more nimble than the Japanese companies because generally the way it works in Japan is somebody sees a game, they bring it to Japan, and then they have all the buchos, all of the managers have to all agree, yes, this is a good game. And that takes too long. I'm the president of the company. I could make the decision. I spoke English. I had that advantage, and I used it. I licensed a bunch of games. And one of the games that I licensed in that way was a little game called Tetris.
Yes, Bulletproof, definitely, but definitely licensed Tetris. Black Onyx booth. Hank and other members of the BBS took show NEC Personal Computer Fair held in 1994. Nice. Very nice. Alright, Go. Dating back over 2,500 years. Oh, Go is related to this somehow? Back over 2,500 years to ancient China. Go, properly known as Ego in Japanese, is a board game in which players place pieces, black white stones on a board to encircle or thus remove the opponent's stones. Hank Rogers' father, an expert player, taught his son the game, and Hank was not quite adept at it.
Not only was my game the #1 selling game in Japan in 1984, but it was the #1 game in software rental. You could rent my game for 1 day, use your copy software, make a copy, bring it back, and then the next day somebody else could rent it. You can imagine how many people actually got to play my game. Way more than I sold. And so that was really going to kill our industry. And the magazines were advertising copy tools. Can you imagine? The answer to that, to copy, is Nintendo, because Nintendo was making cartridges. My wife actually read in a magazine that Mr. Yamauchi, the president of Nintendo, plays Go. Wow. And I'd had a submission from a Commodore 64 from England, 9x9 Go. You know, Go is 19x19, but 9x9 Go. And this 9x9 Go was on the Commodore 64, which is a 6502. Nintendo is a 6502. So I knew that the algorithm was going to work. We didn't have to do anything to it. I mean, there's no danger of that. All we had to do is change the graphics and the sound and all of that, rebuild that from scratch. No problem. I wrote Mr. Yamauchi a fax. It's Tuesday. Mr. Yamauchi, my name is Hank Rogers. I can make a Go game for your Nintendo machine. I'm leaving for the States on Saturday. I would like to meet you before I leave. Wednesday, I get a fax back. Mr. Yamauchi will meet you tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
I said, wow, that is some fast action there. Okay, so now it's Thursday. Yamauchi says, I can't give you any programmers. And I said, I don't need any programmers. I have programmers. I just need money. And he goes, how much money? And I'm, wow, that's fast. And so I thought of the biggest number I could think of, 30 million yen. And he goes, deal. It's like, whoa, that was fast. That was fast. And that was it. That was pretty much the meeting. I mean, it was over in no more than maybe between 5 and 10 minutes. We had made a deal for $300,000. That's like the biggest number that I've even ever heard of. Okay, fine. So I'm cloud nine. I said, okay, I got to contact the guy from England and say, and make a deal with him, because I actually didn't have a Go game. So I contacted Alan Scarf in England, who had made the game. I said, dude, I'll pay you this much. You got to come to Japan and help me move this game to the Nintendo machine. And Alan Scarf lived in my house for 9 months while we moved the game. Now, to get a computer to play Go is incredible, you know? And now we're talking about a 64K, 8-bit computer playing Go. Are you serious? I mean, the fact that it can play Go at all is incredible. I have little ninjas jumping around collecting the stones. Instead of having a cursor, the stone floated above the board with a shadow, and if you said play there, then it would land on its shadow. It was graphically amazing, and it actually played pretty decently. It's 9 months later, and I'm back in a room with Mr. Yamauchi, and Mr. Yamauchi's fumbling with the controller. I swear he'd never touched the controller before. I was like, are you serious? This is a Nintendo machine. You've never actually, I didn't say this, I'm just being flabbergasted at this whole scene. And he gets frustrated, and he hands it over to his underling, and he says, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there. And he plays one game with it, and he defeats me. He's a 6th-degree black belt in Go, like my father, who's also a 6th dan. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt, so I can hold my own. If you give me 3 stones or you're 6th dan, we have an even game. He beats a 9x9 Go algorithm on Famicom. And he says, it's too weak for Nintendo. I said, Mr. Yamauchi, it's a miracle that it plays Go at all. It's plenty strong for children to learn how to play Go. And he says, did you not hear what I said? I said, it's too weak for Nintendo. I had to think fast. I said, Mr. Yamauchi, it may be too weak for Nintendo, but it's strong enough for my company, BPS. Let me publish it. What about my money? I'll give you 100 yen for each copy until you get your money back, which is $1. So I would have had to sell 300,000 copies to give him his money back. And he said, deal. That is how I became a Nintendo publisher.
That's actually really cool.
Because if he says, yes, you can publish it, it means, yes, he's given me the blessing to be a publisher. So Go was my first game. And after that, I had other reasons to meet with Yamauchi. And so I would always make the appointment on a day when he had no other appointments after my meeting. And then we would play Go afterwards. And it was like the Prince and the Pauper, because when we play Go, Everybody else is gone. Normally, he's got underlings that are making sure he doesn't say or do anything that he's not supposed to, whatever. But when you play Go, there's nobody in the room. First of all, nobody else in the industry played Go. Can you imagine? And those two worlds didn't collide at all.
That's fascinating.
Go in Japan is not considered a game. They don't even say play Go. They say do Go. It's like doing kendo or aikido, and Go is in that class. And so we played Go, and then he would ask me questions about the business, what's going on, and so when we were actually the closest thing that he would have to being a friend with somebody.
Fascinating. Young Hank plays Go. Fascinating. Huh. Nintendo released its first game console, the Famicom, Family Computer or Famicom, in Japan in 1983. 2 years later, it became extremely popular in Japan. Nintendo's planning to release it in the U.S. The Nintendo Entertainment System, Japan's top consumer software maker, saw writing on the wall and began seeking permission from Nintendo to make Famicom games. Can we play a game? Initially rebuffed the attempt to produce a Go game for the Famicom, but Hank was undeterred. Huh, that is, yep. The deal is Go. Okay, it was going to be difficult to get even complex capabilities that require a computer, but I ain't got a plan. I saw a British Go player named Alan Scarf released Micro Go, a Go game for Commodore 64. Yep, that's what. Yep, the video summarized that. Computer Go pioneers. What does Micro Go creator and the right is Bruce Wilcox created the first 1990 Go on IBM PC, which means released for the NEC computer. Oh wow, neat. So a summary, a full version. Okay. A temporary setback. Even though BBS's Go game took place on that board around the full size, it was nothing short of a miracle that Scarf was able to get the Famicom to play any version. As soon as it was unimpressive, decided to post the game. Okay. If you pay Nintendo every 100 yen for every copy sold. Okay, oh, we can actually play it. Oh, cool. Ego Q Robon Taikyoku. Released Ego. Okay, it was the first Go game for the Famicom in the first 2 years. It would be the only Go game with the Famicom. I sold 150,000 copies of the game, but more importantly, Hank is not a friendship with Nintendo's president license to create more Famicom software. Okay, so he didn't get the 300,000, but he got half of it back. Bulletproof software. I remember Bulletproof. One player. I've never played Go. I actually have no idea how to play it. How can I translate this into English? Yeah, how do I start? Okay. How do I translate this? Is there any way to translate it? Let's rewind. I see. Yeah, I know next to nothing about Go. Like, literally. I don't even know how it works. So, I'm gonna have to quit this now because I literally know nothing about Go. Okay. How to play. Huh. I'll have to play some other time. I know nothing about Go. Huh. This Go game Andromeda Software was closing to license Tetris to the U.S. game publisher Spectrum Holobyte and the European publisher Mirrorsoft. Both companies, even though you're not scared to get the license. Oops. Hank meets Tetris. MS-DOS version of the game from Spectrum Holobyte. Was planning to release in just a few weeks' time. Hank waited to play this old-looking game. Got back in line 3 more times, eventually setting the high score. Nice.
I'm at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. My job is to find games to bring to Japan. And the way it works is there are like hundreds of monitors from dozens of companies, all showing games. and the people are lined up to play those games, for a couple of minutes to get an impression.
He was trying to have a Go game. He was really into Go. He had this other game he was working on called Black Onyx. But everybody was playing this game in our booth. Tetris, Hank came over to play.
So I stand in line, and there I play Tetris for the first time. And, then I go and play other games, and I find myself standing in line at the Tetris machine again. And I play again. I said, oh, okay. And I go away, and I find the fourth time I'm standing in this line is like, I'm really hooked on this game.
And he sees my name on the top of the high score list. So he sits there for hours trying to knock me off the list.
I put the high score on the game. I beat Gilman Louis' high score on that game.
He meets up with Phil.
I showed it to Hank for the first time. Hank loved it.
Phil takes Hank into a meeting with me.
And so I started negotiating with Gilman about Tetris for Japan.
And Hank goes, I want to get the Japanese rights.
Okay. So is this the MS-DOS version? Okay. I think we'll end at this. I will play this game, the DOS version, which is a really famous version. I remember seeing this. I don't know if I've ever played the DOS version, but I know that it was a game that I knew people who played. So, yeah, I think we'll check this out. Let's check it out. Do they have music? I don't know if they had music yet. Okay. CGA. Oh, wow, look at that. We'll start level 0. Actually, no, maybe we'll start level 5 again. Oh, well, that's fascinating. Okay. Yeah, this has an nice CRT filter too. It looks very much like a CRT does in this version. Okay, yeah, this is pretty legit. Okay, it just makes a chirp. Okay. I want to get a Tetris. There, I should be able to get a Tetris now. Perfect. There we go. Ah! All right, well, now that I got a Tetris, I'm going to quit. Cool. No. Cool. Well, that's nice. Huh. Revenues from different cities. How did I accidentally pull that up? Huh. Okay. Well, I think we'll call it from here for tonight. Pretty interesting documentary. The game selection is of a bit of a mixed bag because the Nintendo version is missing. But they do have the Famicom version. So I guess we'll see what this looks like. But it is, the US Tetris versions are definitely more iconic. Okay, at least it has this. Okay. I think Karinka is probably the closest. Ah, the buttons are different. Oh, is it down to rotate? The controls are goofy. This is not the same as I don't like these controls. They're messed up. Oh my goodness. Down to rotate is killing me. Oh, that is wild. Okay, I don't think I can handle this. I really don't like these controls. Okay, I don't like these controls. They're horrible. Huh. Man. Wow. And there's different variations. It's just a shame they have the Oh, this is a Game Boy one, but most of them are unfortunately Famicom. This is an NES. Okay, so that is an American version. But it's a mixed bag of copies. Like, I don't see the Game Boy version of Tetris. I don't see the NES version of Tetris. But you know what? We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Maybe it gets better. And that will be something that I get to find out as I continue to play through these games and get to the review. Thank you so much for watching. I think this is a good, interesting... why does it say 82%? I thought I got through this one already. Oh, you have to click on it to activate it. Okay, so if it's black, it's not activated. I wanted to say 100%. There we go. There we go. So yeah, pretty interesting. Thank you so much for watching. And again, thanks for Digital Eclipse for sending this to us to review. Please look forward to our full written review. Take care, God bless, and have a great night.